Your embarrassing little hobby is over, Sophia. We've made sure of that. My father's voice rang through the hushed probate courtroom like a gunshot. My mother sat beside him, lips pressed into a thin, satisfied line. My older brother Ethan smirked from the next seat, arms folded, certain this was checkmate. I said nothing. The judge, a weathered man with kind eyes and a Midwestern drawl, had been half listening while flipping through a thick manila folder. At my father's declaration, he stopped, squinted at the page in front of him, then looked up at me over the rim of his glasses. He blinked once.
Twice.
Then, almost to himself, "Wait a minute, this is the Marine they just pinned the silver star on?" The gavel never fell, but the room still felt like it exploded. To understand how we got here, you have to picture a gray March morning in an old courthouse in Dayton, Ohio. Red brick, brass plaques, the faint smell of floor wax and burnt coffee. I grew up 20 minutes from this building, yet walking through those doors in my simple black dress felt like crossing into hostile territory. My parents and Ethan sat on the left side of the aisle, like a jury already convinced of my guilt. Mom wore the same navy suit she saved for funerals. Dad had his retired colonel blazer on, metals polished, back ramrod straight. Ethan scrolled his phone, barely hiding a grin. They were here to prove I was unfit to inherit my Grandpa Ray's farm, the 180 acres, the white clapboard house, the savings he'd scraped together over 50 years, so it could be sold and divided fairly among the family who actually stayed. Grandpa Ray had been a Marine in Vietnam, the only one who ever truly saw me. Their lawyer went first. Smooth voice, expensive watch. He painted me as the prodigal flake. No stable job, constant unexplained absences, a questionable lifestyle that embarrassed the family name. Dad took the stand and doubled down. "We finally put an end to whatever fantasy she's been chasing," he declared. "No daughter of mine is going to throw her life away on some ridiculous, dangerous hobby and still expect to get the farm." Mom nodded. "She abandoned us, Your Honor." Grandpa was confused at the end. Ethan added, "I'm the one who mowed that land every summer. I'm the one who was here." I sat quietly on the right side of the aisle, hands folded, breathing slow the way they teach you when you're waiting for the green light to fast rope into a hot LZ. The same calm I used in Fallujah, in Helmand, in places I never told them about. Because every time I tried, they laughed. "Dad, Marines don't need girls playing soldier." "Mom, you'll ruin your skin in the sun, sweetheart." "Ethan, bet you'll quit after the first week of boot camp." So I stopped trying. The judge listened to their testimony, made notes, then turned to me. "Captain Bennett," he said gently, "would you like to respond?" I opened my mouth, but before I could speak, he held up a finger and flipped to a new section of the folder, the one with the Department of Defense seal. His eyes widened. He looked at my parents, then back at the page, then at me again. "Captain Sophia Bennett, United States Marine Corps, Force Reconnaissance, 2 bronze stars with V. Navy Commendation, and good Lord, the Silver Star for gallantry in action 6 months ago." He said it loud enough for the bailiff to drop his pen. Dad's face went the color of old ash. Mom's hand flew to her pearls. Ethan actually whispered, "No way." The judge removed his glasses, cleaned them slowly, then put them back on like he needed to be sure he'd read it right. "Captain," he said, voice softer now, "the citation says you carried 2 wounded Marines out of a burning building under heavy fire after the exfil bird went down. Is that accurate?" "Yes, sir." "And you did this with a shattered femur?" "Yes, sir." The courtroom was so quiet I could hear my mother's breathing hitch. Dad tried to stand, thought better of it, and sat back down hard. The judge closed the folder with deliberate care. "Let me be perfectly clear," he said, addressing my family. "This court does not overturn a competent testator's wishes because his children disapprove of a haircut, a tattoo, or, apparently, a woman serving her country with distinction most of us can only imagine. Captain Bennett is not only fit to inherit this property, she's more qualified to manage responsibility than anyone in this room, myself included." He turned to me. "Captain, Your grandfather's will is upheld in full. The farm is yours. And if I may speak out of turn, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for your service." He didn't wait for the gavel. He just nodded once, Marine to Marine, and stepped down. Afterward, in the empty hallway that smelled of lemon polish and regret, my father approached first. His metals looked suddenly childish on that blazer. "Sophia," he said, voice cracking like thin ice, "why the hell didn't you tell us?" I looked him in the eye. "Because every time I tried, sir, you told me to find a real job." Mom was crying quietly into a tissue. Ethan stood a few feet away, staring at the floor like it might open and swallow him. Dad swallowed hard. "Your grandfather knew." "He did," I said. "He wrote me every month I was deployed. Never missed one." Mom stepped forward, hands trembling. We thought you were lost." "I wasn't lost, Mom. I was found." Ethan finally spoke, barely above a whisper. "I feel like the world's biggest asshole." "You're not wrong," I said. Then softer. "But you're still my brother." Dad reached out, hesitated, then pulled me into the stiffest, most awkward hug of my life. When he let go, his eyes were red. "Dinner," he said. "Tonight. At the house. Your mother's making that god-awful casserole you used to love." I laughed, actually laughed, for the first time all day. "I'll be there." 6 months later, I still own the farm. The fields are leased to a young veteran with 2 kids and a prosthetic leg. I fix the bar myself on weekends. Mom planted roses along the front walk. Dad built a new flagpole and flies the Marine Corps colors every day the weather allows. Ethan shows up every Sunday with coffee and apologies he still hasn't run out of. Some wounds take years to heal. Some families take longer. But sometimes all it takes is one moment, one folder, one judge, one truth spoken out loud, for everything to finally line up the way it was always meant to. If you're holding on to a grudge, or carrying a silence that's lasted too long, maybe today's the day to break it. Grandpa Ray used to say the Corps gave him 2 families, the one he was born to and the one he swore to die for. Turns out the first one just needed a wake-up call.